whatever floats your boat. I actually just quickly wanted to show you something that I was about to do, and it involves baking. This is why you see me with my nice apron with my name on it, which I got from my parents. I think they had it made in Italy. Anyway, so the first thing I want you to do is to ignore the state of my flat because it's horrendous. I've just come back from work. I made this cake for a friend of mine who's turning 24, and I hope that's correct now, tomorrow. And I thought, I unfortunately didn't think about it when I was actually baking the cake, but I thought I'm going to show you now what's going on when I do the icing and everything. So what I made actually is a brownie cake. Ta-da! That is really cool. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm sorry, I'm on my own today, so no one to do the camera work for me. So this is going to be interesting for all of us. So this is the not iced cake. I love it because I love brownies, and it actually worked out that way, but we're going to see how it tastes. Then, because I had some of the batter left over, I made these tiny weeny little brownie cakes. Aren't they cute? I think they're absolutely gorgeous, and I love what they like, the way they look like, and it's definitely something for the future to remember. And yes, so I'm gonna do some like different icing for each of them. I'm going to do pink icing if possible for the cake, and a green icing for the little cakes. There we go. All right, let's get started. So I have to show you something cool when we get started. Oops. I recently had my birthday, and I bought myself this amazingly cool pink mixer, which I just adore, because I had a mixer, but it only has one of the whisks left, so I always whisked like with just one whisk, and people were already complaining like, why are you doing this, and you're confusing us, and what the hell is wrong with you? And to avoid all of the insults and offensiveness, I've just decided to buy a new mixer, which has 2 of these whisks, and that's the way we want it, right? Ta-da! Good. Now, let's get started with the actual work. Before I'm going to do the icing, as I said, I'm really sorry I forgot to film while doing the cake, but I'm just quickly going to say how I made it, and I'm sure I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make brownies anyway, because I love brownies and I have this great recipe. But what you actually need is, now get your pen, get your pads and write it down. What you need is 250 grams of baking chocolate. You need 250 grams of butter, 6 eggs, 350 grams of sugar, 200 grams of meal, that was German, of flour, and then you probably need a diet for a couple of weeks. But I hope I haven't forgotten anything. No, I don't think I have. Right, so what you then do is, on like medium heat, you let the butter and the chocolate together in a pot melt. And in between you put the 6 eggs in a bowl and you whisk them up with the sugar until it's all creamy and nice, and blend it. And then when the chocolate and the butter are melted, you put them in the sugar egg mixture and you blend it again. Then you put 200 grams of flour in it and just, you know, blend it together so that it's all a smooth mixture, and that there shouldn't be any sort of flour left in it, like little, you know, dots and knots of flour. There shouldn't be any flowers in it at all, for that matter. And yeah, and then you put it into like a, you know, like a form. I don't know, I use a not so big, but I mean, you have to get a feeling for it. Like mine is a bit like this size, you know, which is, I don't know how big it is, but it's like, it shouldn't be, probably the whole mixture shouldn't be higher higher than in like an inch or two, well, probably a bit higher than that, but not too high. It should be probably about like this. And then you should be fine. And don't forget to butter the form before you put the whole mixture in it. And you have by then already preheated your oven to 180 degrees, and then you put it in and you leave it in there for 30 to 35 minutes, probably, let's say 25 to 35 minutes, depending on your oven. From that moment on, I would probably just open it and always, you know, pinch a knife or something in it and see how far it goes. Anyway, so this is pretty much the brownie. For the brownie cake, you just take a round form. And for these ones, for these little fellas, I just had, how are they called? I can't think of the name, it just skipped my mind. I'm going to write it in the commentary somewhere, in the commentary section, or in the description. Anyways, so, to the icing. What we need is, and I'm completely inventing this now, because also with the icing you have to get a feeling. Because in my recipe it says 1 egg white to 280 grams of icing sugar. You can do that, but then it's very thick and it's very difficult to spread. So what I would suggest you do is you probably start with about 200 grams of icing sugar. And then you make it up as you go along, because I feel like, I mean, baking is some kind of science, isn't it? You can't just with cooking throw things in and hope it just happens, but especially with icing and cool things, you have to get a bit of a feeling. And I sometimes just take the recipes like as a bit of a direction giver, like where are we going with this? But you have to get a bit of a feeling. You can also, of course, add some sort of a little bit of lemon juice if you prefer that. I'm going to do my icing with egg white because I like that best, and it gets the best texture for what I want to do. Alright, I'm making the icing now. So you've got your lovely egg here, and you're going to separate it, the yolk from the egg white. We need the egg white. Don't throw away the yolk, you can do lovely things with it. I sometimes just make an omelette out of it, you know, like when I do baking with more than one thing, with one yolk, then I sometimes do that. But it doesn't happen always, I have to admit that. Alright, good. So we've got the egg white in here. And I've got 200 grams of powdered sugar here. I'm just going to add this. And now, get yourself ready for the noise, because now we're going to do some serious whisking. See that? Oops. Here. This is very thick. This is perfect when you make a gingerbread house or something. Delish. And you need this for like as a glue. But if you're doing it for our purposes, it should be a little bit less thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some lemon juice. If you're really prepared and organized, much more than I am, you will probably get some real lemons because that tastes much better. Right. Oh, it's even better. But I'm still not quite happy about the texture, about how thick it is. And I'm going to add a little bit of water, the tiniest bit of water, so that we can just thin it out a little Good. So this is much better. You see now it kind of gets off my finger. That's much better. Good. Now, good. I've got some food colouring here. As you've noticed, I said in the beginning that I'm going to do a red or pink one, but unfortunately, because of Halloween, my red colour is out at the moment. So I've decided to go with blue. Good. Let's whisk that in. That looks horrible, doesn't it? But yeah, we'll see how this is going to change. Good. A little bit more to make it a bit darker. I mean, you have to adjust it yourself, right? At the end of the day, you have to decide which colours you want to use, and that's the great thing about baking, at least for me. It's so creative. It is quite restricted to the recipes for the baking thing, but with the decoration, there are no Alright people, goodness. What do I look like today? It's been a long day of work, but for me, baking is a bit like an outlet, so that's why I love doing it. In the meantime, I have come up with the icing for the little cakes. I've made it yellow, but as I said, you can do whatever you want. For the second icing, because it's just smaller cakes, I took icing sugar and lemon juice, because I didn't want to go 2 yolks to waste in case they were going to waste. I would highly advise you, if you do that, to not take only lemon juice and icing sugar, but to have a little bit of water in it as well, otherwise it's very lemony. Unless of course you like that, that is fine as well. But yeah, I would say, because the cake is still kind of cooling down, we're going to start with the little cakes, because they're already finished. Right, I'm using this kind of spatula, but if you don't have something like that, it's totally okay to take a knife or whatever you have there. I just feel extra important if I do it with this, but you really don't have to. Okay, so we have iced the going to ice a big cake. And here's the big cake. As I said, I'm still going to use this little spatula here. Put it on. And you see that this sort of icing, the egg white, works a lot better than the other one. But it's of course also a waste of egg, so egg yolk. And that's why I decided to not use it for the top part. This has pretty much been it for today. I hope you enjoyed it and you probably feel inspired now to do some baking, do some icing. And yes, you can comment or like or visit my Facebook page or my blog floatingtheboat.weebly.com, and I always really happy to hear from you. Bye bye.